Our next guests are actor Zoe Saldana and her husband, director Marco Prego. Saldana is known, of course, for starring in big sci-fi franchises like The Avatar, Star Trek, and Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, now she's taking on a new role in a new film directed and co-written by her husband, Marco Prego, called The Absence of Eden. Saldana plays an undocumented immigrant who flees her home in Mexico for sanctuary. In this clip, she confronts the manager at the hotel she's forced to work at once she gets to the U.S.
We come here, plant your seeds with our dirty hands, and then we help them grow while you get to put your feet up. Your crops, your children, your future. We make it all grow. And what do? You just take and take and take and take and take.
Very powerful moment there. First on CBS Morning, Zoe Saldana and her husband, Marco Prego, are here. Good morning. We got the name right during the break. First of all, I just want to acknowledge that when we talk about immigrants and that subject matter, it's in the news all the time. We know that it's complex, it's complicated. This film is not taking a political stance. You're really focusing on humanity. Can you tell us the importance of that and what inspired you to make this film?
I think Marco can contextualize on what was the inspiration behind it. Right. But as his partner and collaborative, ally, I was really proud of him that out of all the subjects that he could be, building a story around, he chose immigration and the angle of humanity, which keeps us very neutral. But also keeps us in the form of art of telling stories that are compelling about human beings, about people.
You spent 2 years getting, researching and traveling to find the story, to know which story you wanted to tell. Talk about that.
Yes, the inspiration came because in 2016 I did a sculpture. They died, 714 children go for Syria to Italy, and I collected 714 pair of shoes, and I full of concrete. And I finished this museum called the Rennie Collection in Vancouver. And that was an inspiration for me because at that time we start to have children together. And for me it was, okay, how I can talk about humanity in more the global aspect. And I start to, I really like cinema. I watch one movie a week, one movie a day. And the goal was
7 days a week.
Yeah, no, and the goal was, okay, maybe using another tools can touch more people about humanity. When I spent 2 years searching, I went to the border so many times, and after I surrounded myself with my co-writer to go to every individual story and asking questions about how they felt, what was the issue, because my biggest goal was to be honest as possible when I was telling the story and making both sides, from this side of the border and another side of the border.
There's an important part in the film, without giving it away, where someone says, basically the weight of what these people have experienced is just too big and it's not your problem.
That's the truth.
Why was that so important to acknowledge in terms of just how people might see these stories if they're not directly up on it?
I think part of the research, like Marco's mentioned, it wasn't only sitting down with people that have been compelled to cross over, but it's also people that work in law enforcement that have a duty to fulfill, and sometimes that conflicts with their moral code or how they're feeling at this, in the core about what they're doing. And that was always the response that we kept getting. It's like, we know that what they're going through is bigger, but it's not our problem. It can't be our problem. We can't be the ones to provide the solution. And it was those conversations, I think, no matter how uncomfortable they are, we have to listen to them because they compel us to understand both sides, like Marco is saying. I think it's important to have all sides, or as many sides as you're able to sort of take on, in order for you to understand why this subject is so complex and it's such a global issue as well.
Well, so I was struck in watching that scene that we ran and in watching the film. after we've spent a couple of days covering this disaster in Baltimore, the men who died on that bridge were from Mexico and Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador. And one of the family members of these workers that were killed, there was a quote in the Washington Post. She said this: "We leave with so many dreams. Here, immigrants have the hardest times, the hardest jobs, and then we are the first to break." And that literally mimics.
And I'm pretty sure 100 years ago, that was an Italian or an Irish wife saying the same thing about her husband, whose life had been lost either building one of our amazing structures that we get to visit here in New York City. I feel like the issue of immigration has been an ongoing issue. I think that what's important, in my opinion, is that for us not to forget as Americans that this nation was founded by immigration.
Yes.
And it's thanks to people that made desperate decisions to put their lives at risk for a betterment of life, and came here with their dreams, pursued those dreams, build on those dreams, and we are reaping those benefits. So I think that no matter how complex, yes, it's going to always happen, but thank God to immigrant hands that actually do build and plant seeds and do so much for us. Worldwide.
Yeah. No, it's very complex, but also very simple at the same time. That's
very
well said.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing the movie in the theaters. Make sure that we support, which is coming out very soon.
By the way, they're married. I don't know if we made that clear.
And Zoe, you did say, I know you're talking about Star Trek. That may come back because I'm a huge Trekkie.
It may. I know it's circling in the news. We have a new writer attached, and hopefully they're able to wrangle us.
Oh my gosh, that would be so amazing.
I'm willing and able.
You heard it here first, folks. Paramount, if you're listening, and they are.
Hold on, as you guys made the little lovey eyes look at one another.
Yes, I like it.
I love to see it because you just spent a lot of time working together. What was it like working together as husband and wife?
I feel like the more experience we have, it'll continue to get better and better. But for the first time out, it was already there.
Yeah.
There were maybe a couple of moments in which... like I forgot that we weren't in our kitchen, so I wasn't just like, Marco, and this was Marco's set, this was Marco's vision. And we did sort of have to go like around the corner away from the set because everybody gets really quiet when we start talking really intensely. And so we did walk away and we practiced our tools. About like, when I hold this, I'm talking for 30 seconds and you cannot interrupt me. And then I spoke and then he spoke and then he was right.
No,
okay.
When she speaks Spanish, I'm
on
scared.
set, he was right.
When she speaks
When
Spanish.
she say, Marco Andrea, come here, I say, oh my God.
Oh, boy.
Man.
When she speaks Spanish, I'm in trouble.
Pero ¿qué quieres decir cuando te hablo español?
No, I'm not saying.
Oh, he's like, I'm good.
You know what? We can
Nothing,
feel the
dear.
love. We can feel the love. Well, thank you so much, Zoe Saldana and Marco Perego. Thanks again. The Absence of Eden opens in theaters April 12th.